When many people reach their retirement years, they conclude that their glory days are behind them. Not the folks you're about to meet. They're athletes in the Senior Olympics, the largest multi-sport event in the world for seniors. And while not all of them are in it for the medals, they're all pushing themselves to excel. In fact, some are former professional athletes, and they haven't lost their competitive spirit. Let's see what makes these Olympians run and what the Senior Olympic experience offers.
Take your mark.
From all over the state of Maryland, they've come to swim, leap, run, and push their bodies to the limit. This is the 2006 Maryland Senior Olympics, one of the last state games of the year and one of the final opportunities to qualify for the National Senior Olympics of 2007. The chance to compete against the best in the country is alluring, but these athletes all choose their objectives as they see fit. For some, staying healthy is reason enough to be here.
Instead of sitting there watching TV and just sort of waiting for life to go by, you're out there doing something. It's good for you. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. Everybody should have something that they can do, be passionate about.
Like the International Games, this two-day competition at Towson University features numerous events. Swimming, track and field, racquetball, basketball, table tennis, badminton, and more. Founded in 1979, the Maryland Games have attracted more competitors with each passing year. Among the contenders is an impressive collection of retired professional and amateur athletes.
I played in the NBA for 10 years. I played with the Detroit Pistons, the St. Louis Hawks, and the Baltimore Bullets. And then I was general manager of the Washington Bullets for 18 years. I think the importance of the Senior Olympics is it sets an example for other seniors that they can, or other, we'll say now baby boomers, that they can do the same thing if they go out and just stay in reasonable shape. And they can do the things they did all their lives right now. It's going to be on a different level, you understand that? But it's still fun, it's competitive, and you meet a lot of nice people this way.
I signed for the New York Athletic Club in 1939, 1940, and 41. Went to the Army, stayed in the Army 24 years, swam for an Army swimming team back in 1950 and 51. Gave up swimming until 1987 when I joined the team we're on now, and I've been swimming since.
Many of these senior Olympians have their eyes set on doing well enough here to go to Louisville, Kentucky and compete in the 2007 National Games. Michael Graham, who qualified for the 2005 Nationals, knows what it takes to get there.
This is the pole vault competition. I just cleared 11 feet and one attempt at 12. I train for the Senior Olympics whenever time permits, and I'm sure most seniors will tell you the same thing. With other activities that are pressing for your time, you try to work out as much as possible. Usually for me, that's 3 days a week, possibly 45 minutes each day, max.
For some of the more dedicated athletes, off-season training and conditioning is essential to prevent injury and keep up with the competition. One of the more spirited Olympians is 69-year-old Evelyn Wright, who trains every day at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Evelyn started coming to the Games in 1996 after reading about them at a local library. She enjoys them so much that she tries to add a new event to her palette each year.
I'm just a sports nut, but all we had was basketball and volleyball and softball. I didn't know what track and field was, and I came over here and somebody saw me throw a softball, and they started training me, so I'm now doing 13 events. I lost a kidney when I was 55, and I thought I was never going to be able to do sports again. And that was when I thought because I was playing soccer, and he said, no, you can't play soccer and all that. And when I saw this at the library, I came over here and I found a whole new sport. At 57, and I'm living proof you can live on one kidney.
2006 has been especially rewarding for Evelyn, as it has marked her induction into the Maryland Senior Olympics Hall of Fame. Among the other inductees is 82-year-old former Maryland Senator Bernie Fowler, who has been competing in the Maryland Games since they began.
It's a great honor, it really is, because at one time we had about 3,500 athletes competing in the Senior Olympics. And over 27 years to be picked of one of only 12 that's in the Hall of Fame, that certainly to me is phenomenal. And I am deeply humbled and gratefully appreciative of it.
I have 6 American records in high jump and 1 world, and also I have a national record in hammer and weight throw. All the years I've competed here, they've just added up everything I've done, and I have a lot of records here. So I guess they decided it's time to put me in there.
In addition to being accomplished athletes, Fowler and Wright have been vocal leaders in reaching out to seniors of all ages and athletic abilities to participate in the Senior Olympics.
We all help each other. Like, I had a couple people come here, they didn't know what a javelin was or anything, but I got a couple people started, you know, in shot and all. And you can come here and try it, and people will support you. So that's the way I got started.
I try to encourage as many of my friends as I can to participate. Some of them are a little apprehensive about doing it because they feel subdued, overwhelmed, you know, beginning to participate in athletics at the age of 60 or 70 or 80. I'm doing all I can to encourage people to become a part of this. I think it'll extend their lifeline.
Those who have heard the message have reaped great benefits from the Olympic experience. Among the rookies at this year's Games are Dr. Norman Spangler, who leapt into track and field, and Rita Eisenberg, who participated in the very competitive swimming events.
And I do plan to come back to it in the future years because the camaraderie is wonderful. I was a little bit nervous about it. I didn't know what to expect. In fact, I would go to bed at nighttime when I was home thinking, oh, what am I going to do? And each day I'd be counting down the days until it was coming, and I thought, Rita, just relax, just enjoy it. You'll have fun.
In some ways, the Senior Olympics represent a purer form of athletic competition than their international, more youthful counterpart. There are no political controversies, no doping scandals, and no media mobs. Instead, the Senior Olympics focus on sport and promote kinship and an active lifestyle. For these athletes, that's golden.
If you stop doing, you're going to stop living. If you're living, do. I dance, I swim, and I'm a very busy volunteer. In fact, I'm doing more work now than when I was working.
No matter how I do, whether I meet the goals I've set or whether I don't meet them, I'm amongst people that I really enjoy being around, and I just enjoy the general competition, so I'm always in a good mood here.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to think you can do things and go and get it done. And that's what I've tried to do. And I hope that in some small way that what I've done will be a symbol to others that, hey, get off the couch, turn that TV off, get outside in the fresh air, do a little running, take some exercise.
Joining me to tell us more about the Senior Olympics is Greg Moore. Mr. Moore is the Director of National Games and Athlete Relations for the National Senior Games Association, the organization that governs the Senior Olympics. He has devoted nearly 20 years to organizing sporting events of all sizes and spent 5 years as Washington University in St. Louis as the football team's tight end and wide receivers coach. Mr. Moore, welcome to the Daily Apple.
Thank you.
Tell me, how many athletes compete in the Senior Olympics each year?
In our national games, I anticipate we'll have about 12,000 in Louisville, but our association has 51 member organizations, much like the Maryland Senior Olympics that we profiled just earlier here. Those 51 state organizations and their component local organizations represent somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 250,000 athletes over 50 that compete in various competitions.
Well, clearly you're used to the competitive world of football. Is it competitive on the field for Senior Olympics?
It's extremely competitive.
Is it really?
Not all of our athletes, in fact, very few of our athletes, by comparison, are elite athletes, but all of them are very competitive.
Were many of them serious athletes in younger days?
Many of the men were. Unfortunately, for most of our women, they went to school during the time prior to Title IX, so their athletic opportunities weren't as frequent, and that's why some of them like this program, because now they have the opportunity to compete at a higher level than they did earlier in life.
And then for viewers, Title IX, just explain that real quickly for a second.
Title IX is basically the act of Congress and the NCAA that said men's and women's athletics have to be treated equally at the collegiate level.
Do you think that serious athletes that are out there actually take the fun out of the games?
I think they can, but I don't think that ours do. I think that our constituents understand that they are competing to be competitive, but also to increase the quality of their life and increase their longevity. And so I don't think that that causes them much of a problem.
So when we talk about, you know, how important, and in the package it was clear that it's important to these athletes to be a part, and it looked like record keeping was actually important as well. Is it?
It's extremely important. We just launched our new website, and on that I was able to post the top 10 performances of all time at our national games in each of the sports where that's appropriate, because I get calls constantly for, I want to know how I fit in terms of the overall competitiveness. And it was important for these athletes to be able to see what the top 10 were, not just what the records were.
Are there many, is it extensive training that people have to go through if they want to be a part of it?
No, not really. You can be a part of it at any level, local, state, and national. Each level gets a little more competitive and requires perhaps a more difficult regimen, but it doesn't require a tremendous regimen like you might see an elite level college athlete go through, and it's not its purpose at all.
So do any of them actually use coaches?
Sure, there are some that use coaches. We have some former Olympians who not only compete but act as coaches. We have some very elite level athletes that compete at the national level. We will set somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 100 American and world records, mostly in swimming and track and field, during the national games in Louisville in '07.
Tell me, how old is the oldest Olympian that you have?
The oldest Olympian is probably about 60. Al Order, who was the famous shot putter and discus thrower, competed up until I think '99, and I'm not sure how old he was. He might have been the oldest Olympian.
But what about in the senior games?
The oldest athlete ever was 103.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was a golfer that competed in 1997.
And
from North Carolina.
So you're talking the 6-year-old was actually an Olympian in the participant in the senior games. So you have a lot of people, was 103, you have a lot of people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s that are competing, huh?
We have a tremendous number of octogenarians and 90-year-olds, and we'll have several 100-year-olds. There's a 100-year-old bowler that will probably be there in 2007. He's from Texas.
Wow.
So a number of inspirational stories just in terms of what they've been able to do with their quality of life as they've aged.
No kidding. Well, this is going to inspire our audience. Thanks for being here today.
I hope so. Thank you for having us.